Josh Hunter here at Beast Wrestling Reviews, here to do last night's Raw review for September the 14th, 2015, and oh my gosh, okay, obviously one of the most controversial slash worst slash everything in the book kind of Raws. I mean, Raw was everywhere last night. Sting's debut, freaking Nikki Bella defeating AJ Lee's reign. Then we also have New Day versus Primetime Players for the Tag Team Championships, which we all knew how that was going to turn out. And last night's Raw was just everywhere. People are pissed off, and surprisingly, with this whole Divas Revolution thing, even though, and me including myself, the Divas Revolution is pretty much dead. Last night, that was pretty much the talk of the night, was that Nikki Bella was going to defeat AJ Lee's reign. Did not think that many people cared about it because, I mean, the AJ Lee's reign, don't get me wrong, AJ Lee was a great diva, but the reign in and of itself was not that great. I mean, people complain about, Nikki Bella not defending the title, and I'm not defending Nikki Bella in any kind of way, but people complain about how she didn't defend the title, as much as she should have. Well, I mean, that's just part of booking. AJ Lee didn't defend her title every pay-per-view either. I mean, that's just part of being a diva. They get the cold shoulder a lot of the times. The last two WrestleManias, the diva title wasn't on the line, and that's WrestleMania, the biggest freaking pay-per-view of the year, and the Divas title wasn't even on the line. And then the WrestleMania before that, the Divas weren't even on the show. So, I mean, getting off track, but last night was definitely the most, it was talked about with that, but that was, the biggest talk of last night's Raw. And, I mean, my opinion on that was just basically, I mean, if it wasn't Nikki Bella, it was going to be somebody else. It was going to be Charlotte. It was going to be, and yes, it has a lot of controversy. I mean, obviously, WWE is not going to leave AJ Lee in history for a long time as their longest reigning champion, with all the stuff that they went through with her and CM Punk and all the lawsuits and all that stuff. Of course. I mean, what did you expect? You honestly think, somebody who they hate, yeah, it's petty, it's childish, but I mean, at the same time, that's just what they do. They're not going to leave freaking AJ Lee, the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. And, I mean, I was expecting it. Do I agree with it? I mean, not really. But, I mean, with these NXT Divas coming up, I mean, the reign was, well, if it wasn't Nikki Bella, it was going to be Charlotte. It was going to be Sasha Banks. It was going to be freaking Becky Lynch, Bayley. It was going to be somebody. And, to be honest, I don't care that Nikki Bella beat the reign. I mainly care of really just how it went down. It wasn't interesting. I mean, Twin Magic? Really? Twin Magic. I mean, out of all the times we've seen Twin Magic by the Bellas, that old tire trick, I mean, there's only so many times you can see something before you just want to break your TV every time you see it. Twin Magic, and then Stephanie McMahon coming out and saying, in reversing the decision, Charlotte wins, but because it was by DQ, she pinned Brie, not Nikki. Nikki Bella still is the champion. She would go on to defeat AJ Lee's reign, but Charlotte still faces her at Night of Champions, and my guess is Charlotte will take the title there. I've said from the beginning that they're probably going to have Nikki Bella hold on to the title long enough to break AJ Lee's reign, and then they'll probably drop the title to Charlotte. And that's probably what's going to happen here at Night of Champions. And, I mean, I don't care that Nikki Bella broke the reign, because, honest, I think the reign that Nikki Bella sets, that reign's going to be broken by either Charlotte or Sasha Banks. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think one of them is going to break whatever reign Nikki Bella sets, just because that's how good they are and that's how popular they're getting right now. And it's like, I mean, they come down in the ring, have a somewhat decent match, And previous in the night, we had Paige versus Sasha Banks, and that was an okay match too as well. Looks like they're going into a rivalry. And I even said last week that I was so hoping and thinking that we were going to see a Paige heel turn. What I didn't 100% say, like, oh, it's going to happen, but it looked from the way they were acting and from the way they were kind of doing it, it almost looked like we were going to see a Paige heel turn. And I said it was possible, and it still was possible last night. I mean, that would have been way better right there. Nikki, you still get what you want. Nikki Bella breaks AJ Lee's reign as the longest reigning Divas champion. We got an amazing storyline where Paige turns on Charlotte and costs her the Divas title, leads into something at Night of Champions, and then Charlotte can still take the title at Night of Champions, and then that lead into a feud with Charlotte and Paige. I mean, right there. I mean, that's just something simple, interesting, something we really haven't seen before, and Paige turns heel, which nobody would expect. I mean, just some stuff, and I've even seen on Twitter and stuff, people even thought, Paige was, going to turn heel, and that would have been way better to me, in my opinion, than doing some twin magic and then having freaking Stephanie McMahon come out and reverse the decision. And then, I mean, last night's Raw wasn't, I mean, it was like I was coasting through it the entire time. I mean, the matches, I mean, were average, but I mean, when I say I was coasting through it, basically meaning I was just watching it to watch it. Like, I wasn't watching it because I was completely invested in what they were doing. I was just watching it because, obviously I like Monday Night Raw and I'm a wrestling fan, but I was watching it just to watch it. I wasn't watching it because I was invested in what they were doing. I mean, if I changed the channel and then I missed something, it wasn't like I was going to miss something important or useful or worth seeing. I mean, and then they have, Sting versus Big Show for the main event. Sting versus Big Show for the main event. And, okay, Sting's first ever debut on Raw. I mean, obviously, with the Authority making the announcement and all that stuff on Raw, it was going, obviously we see, and then, it's being 6 nights before Night of Champions, obviously Seth Rollins interfering, and obviously John Cena's going to come out to save him because Seth Rollins has a match with him as well at Night of Champions. It's so predictable, and people like to say, well, predictable isn't always bad. You're right, predictable isn't always bad, but sometimes it is bad as well. And when you can predict the entire card, the entire outcome, the entire everything, you can predict at Night of Champions exactly what's going to go down, and you just know it's going to be bad, and it was bad, then it's just terrible. I mean, and then it got turned into Sting and John Cena versus Big Show and Seth Rollins, and I mean, you could take that match for what it was as well. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to say. Like, that main event was not even worth main event. To me, the match between freaking, I don't even know what to say right now. Freaking Paige and Sasha Banks, that was a better match than this main event. The match Sheamus had was better than this main event. And I mean, just the things that we had, and a lot of the things that happened last night on Raw just had me questioning, like, what is going on? I mean, again, we have the Authority open Raw with, I mean, they open Raw, and again, this isn't even an open. This isn't even a promo. This isn't the Authority talking about Sting or talking about Seth Rollins. I mean, they mentioned his name probably once. This isn't none of that. They're literally coming down to the ring, telling you they're literally just going through the card for Monday Night Raw and somewhat of the card at Night of Champions, and then they left. Oh, but before they left, they had a little dancing. Triple H and Stephanie would dance a little bit with New Day. That was kind of entertaining. When New Day comes out and dance, that's kind of entertaining. The Authority. And you see the Authority dancing with New Day, you're like, okay, these are supposed to be the Authority, the big bad guys that everyone's scared to cross when they're dancing with New Day. Yeah, New Day are heels, but they're not your average heels. They're out there dancing and doing all this stuff. And then Triple H, the cerebral assassin, the King of Kings, one of the badass superstars of the WWE, is out there dancing as well. It was funny. It was entertaining. I'll give it that. But it didn't really make sense to play into their Authority character. And the open of Raw was literally them just going through the card for Raw. They were telling you what matches were going to happen, and then that was it. And then they left. And then it was New Day versus the Primetime Players for the tag team titles. And that was actually a pretty good match. I actually liked that match. We've seen the match plenty of times before, but I mean, and it's almost become it's almost become a thing to where New Day versus Primetime Players was a good match, and we've seen that match before, but it's almost come to a thing where it's like we're settling for less now. Like, Primetime Players versus New Day was a good match, and we've seen that match plenty of times before, but the only thing that made New Day versus Primetime Players a good match last night on Raw was just the fact that the rest of Raw afterwards sucked so bad it made that match look even better. And that's what's happening now. I mean, had the rest of Raw been better, that match between New Day and Primetime Players wouldn't have looked as good, because then the bar would have been raised, and we've seen New Day versus Primetime Player over the last month and a half, 2 months. We've seen that, and we've also already seen New Day versus the Dudleys, and now we know it's going to be the Dudleys versus New Day at Night of Champions for the tag team titles. So I mean, we've already seen that match. We've seen the Dudleys and New Day have a match between each other. So I mean, I think it ended in DQ, but we still seen that, or something like that. But we've still seen them wrestle. We've still seen them go at it for at least 10 minutes. So I mean, it's like, okay, well, where do you go from here? And it's not like the tag team match is going to get just a lot of time at Night of Champions anyway. And then, I mean. And then we would also have the Paige versus Sasha Banks match, and to see that the only thing that I liked about, this was that, now that I just even think about it more, it's not necessarily that I like it, but you could see they're going in, like a different direction with the Divas in terms of, okay, Paige and Sasha Banks have their rivalry going on, and then Charlotte and Nikki have their thing. As to where usually in the past, the Divas, it was just, there was only one angle, if you can even call it that, or one feud going on, if you can even call it that. They were just one set of matches going on, but now, and then we have, but who's excited for Sasha Banks versus Paige? We've seen it, like, 2-3 times now, and a couple times on Raw, and then on SmackDown as well. And Sasha Banks and Bayley tore down the house at NXT Brooklyn, and we know we're going to see the exact same thing at the next NXT TakeOver, and in an Iron Woman match. I mean, come on. Who's more excited about Sasha Banks versus Bayley? Two girls are going to tear down the house. Or Sasha Banks hardly gets any time on Raw lately, and when she does, it's against a person she's faced about 100 times already. And, obviously that's exaggerating, but that's what it feels like. And then it doesn't even lead anywhere. Paige and Sasha Banks don't hate each other. They're just having matches to have matches because Sasha Banks cost Paige a #1 contender shot, and she didn't even cost her a #1 contender shot. She just simply didn't beat her in time in the meet the clock sprint to get it. I mean, it's so dumb. And then, but the match, in terms of wrestling, it was okay. But I mean, it's just it's watered down. Anything with the Divas Revolution thing is just watered down to the very core now. And as soon as I saw that I think it was at SummerSlam that it was going to be the 9 Divas elimination tag team match, I knew it was going to go downhill from there, just because you try to cram all these divas in one match. I get it. You want to give them all exposure and TV time and all this, and that makes sense, but at the same time, you're taking away from the quality of the matches, and it's just not going to be good. And I knew it was going to go downhill from there, and it has. Hopefully, and I don't even have to say hopefully, I know Sasha Banks and Bayley are going to tear it down again, and Sasha Banks is, she's the talk of the Divas. We constantly hear the "we want Sasha" chants, even when she's not in the ring or not even on the card on Monday Night Raws. Sometimes, she's the talk. That's who people are really wanting to see, and she's been popular for a long time because she is that good. But the thing that really just set it over the top was that match at TakeOver Brooklyn with her and Bayley. So, why not go somewhere with it? And it's just frustrating to think about. That's what I I'm not even gonna grade, Raw last night, because its grade would just be, that's the word that I would describe last night's Raw, was just frustrating. Everything that happened is frustrating me as a wrestling fan. And then after Paige versus Sasha Banks, we would get Miz TV with the Wyatt family, and I thought this would be, I didn't have high hopes for it, but I thought it would be pretty cool because, lately, we've just been seeing Braun Strowman come out, destroy people, with Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt looking back, don't even got to make a move because they know Braun Strowman has it. And, that was actually pretty cool because this dude's freaking monster just running over Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose, and Jimmy Uso, just running over all these guys. And that's always cool to see sometimes, especially when you haven't seen it in a while. And it's legit because look how huge this freaking dude is. But we get him on Miz TV, and, Bray Wyatt does what he does. He's good on the mic. Miz being just weird and obnoxious, does what he does. Then we got Roman and Dean come out, and then they would talk. We got a third partner, and we are going to win. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Dean Ambrose didn't even say a word. Roman Reigns did all the talking, and that's what frustrated me. Why? I think Dean Ambrose may have said a couple of words, but he didn't get mic, he didn't, go at it on the mic. Roman Reigns pretty much did the majority of the talking, and I'm just like, I understand Roman Reigns, trying to get better on the mic. I get that. But why, when you are in this feud that people really don't even care about anymore because we've seen it for so long? Yes, you add Braun Strowman. Yes, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns have a third partner who, by the way, 6 nights before Night of Champions, we don't even know who it is, so we're not even going to find out until Night of Champions. And you could argue that, they're doing that, or, that's what's going to make you want to watch the feud, is to see who their partner is. But if anything, if we found out a few days before Night of Champions who the partner is, then we can go into it with some high hopes. Oh, maybe they are going to win. Oh, it's even terms, this and that. And then if it doesn't live up, first of all, there is no hype to this match, but you have their third partner, and if he doesn't even match up to the stature of Braun Strowman, then it's even more dead and useless than it already is. But anyway, Dean Ambrose doesn't even get the mic. The talker of the group, or the partners, whatever you want to say, doesn't even get the microphone. The guy who we want to hear speak and we like to hear speak barely spoke. And then after they exchanged words, that was it. Didn't end in a brawl. Didn't end with, Braun Strowman choking him out again. Nothing like that. It was just over. They left the ring. That was it. That was frustrating. So you fight these last couple of weeks. Braun Strowman chokes you out. And then 6 nights before, this could have been an easy setup. 6 nights before Night of Champions, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose finally found a third partner. They're pissed off because Braun Strowman choked him out these last couple of weeks. They want to take down the Wyatt family again and this beast Braun Strowman. So they go down there and they exchange words. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns try and take it to the Wyatt family again. Third partner comes down, and it's whoever it is, whoever they have in mind. They come down, saves the day. Everybody's, somewhat hyped up and excited now because now they have an equalizer. Now it's on fair terms. Now we got somebody that can handle Braun Strowman, and then people might be interested in freaking seeing, a match that we've seen before, just with 2 added superstars. And Dean Ambrose is really a weird guy when it comes to how WWE has booked him. He's gone from main event to opening match to mid card to sometimes not even being on the show to now a tag team with Roman Reigns. And it's just, and then same thing with Roman Reigns. Yes, he was pushed way too early, but the facts are still the facts. It will go down in the record books forever that Roman Reigns main evented WrestleMania 31 in San Francisco, and now he's sitting here doing tag team matches with the Wyatt family. and Bray Wyatt having a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31, which had no hype behind it. Nobody was excited for that match or anything, and comes out of that and loses, and now here we are. And the biggest problem, obviously, just WWE relies too much on their biggest stars, on the old guys. They rely too much on your Brock Lesnar's, your Undertakers, your Stings, your Triple H's, and the few times a year The Rock comes through. They rely too much on those guys, and I mean, that could just be a whole other video right there. But then we would go into this John Cena versus Sheamus, and it was a match. It was okay. I mean, we've seen them go at it time and time before. They've had their like 2 or 3 feuds together. Nothing that we haven't seen before. And John Cena wins, just flat out wins, and which is, I mean, if you think about it, if they are planning on doing a cash-in, not necessarily at Night of Champions. I mean, if at Night of Champions they do a cash-in, then, that's fine, and that would be really cool. But if they just plan on doing a cash-in sometime in the near future, it makes sense for Sheamus to, lose, and then comes out of nowhere and cashes in, and then now, after this, losing streak or whatever, he comes out with the world title. That's all fine, but Sheamus is right now, I mean, to me right now, there's not a lot of entertaining heels right now. Kevin Owens is probably one of the best, obviously, but besides him, to me, Sheamus is one of the most watchable heels out there because, he's a heel. He gets heat. He just is who he is. He gets reactions, and he does what he does. And that's just it. And then to have John Cena just flat out beat him in the middle of Raw, like the 4th or 3rd match or something like that. That's, like I said, frustrating. Tonight's Raw, frustrating, and it just frustrates me right now thinking about it. And then after that, I'm not even, like I said, the match was okay, but it wasn't nothing we haven't seen before between these two guys. But then we have a Ryback promo where Kevin Owens would come out and interfere. He would just come out and, give his part. And finally, I see Kevin Owens come out. And I'm like, finally, Kevin Owens gets the mic. Probably one of the best, if not the best talkers in WWE right now, gets the microphone. And, Kevin Owens obviously always has something to say on the microphone. That's what makes him so good. But then we get Ryback interrupting or making a comment. Like, we see Ryback trying to do good on the microphone, but it just doesn't work. His voice, the things he says, and just he impersonated Elvis. I get it. You're in Memphis, Tennessee, where Graceland or wherever is at. I get it. You're trying to connect with the live crowd that's there. That's understandable, but you're supposed to be this monster, this huge guy that everybody's supposed to be afraid of, Intercontinental Champion, and you're out there 300 pounds, freaking muscles everywhere, impersonating Elvis? Really? More frustration. Then, we have Kevin Owens, and he's like, and he's talking, obviously. He has the book, The Secret, that, Ryback read, that helped him, that motivated him, and gave him all this positivity, to come back from his injury and all that other stuff. And, which was awesome by Kevin Owens to take something that happened in Ryback's real life and use it against him on TV to get heat. That simple but amazing, and it gets you, hooked into the thing. But then Ryback just goes on with his rusty voice talking, and it's like you hear Kevin Owens talk, you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Like, he just gave it to him, insulted him, whatever. Then you hear Ryback talking, and it just takes you out of the moment. And Ryback, to me, and it's not an insult to Ryback or anything, don't get me wrong, Ryback's a cool dude, but I mean, to me, I would rather hear that guy silent, freaking do Randy Orton style. You come out, you get on the mic, you say it's short, sweet, and simple. Say something, it's like a 10-second, 15-second promo. Randy Orton as one of the most popular guys, and that's another thing that was frustrating. He wasn't even on Raw last night, but anyway, we won't get into that. But Ryback would be way better if he just came out, cut 10 to 20-second promos, said what he had to say, went in the ring, and kicked everybody's ass. That's Ryback. That would be an amazing Ryback. That used to be the Ryback we have, and that was the Ryback that was one of the most popular baby faces in WWE. And you look at other guys who do that same sort of promo style. Randy Orton, one of the other most popular guys in the WWE right now and has been for a very long time. He doesn't come out and cut freaking 10-minute promos or 8-minute promos. He comes out 30 seconds at the most, but not even average, not even that. Usually about 15 to 20 seconds, says what he has to say, and then he's out, and then he goes in and he RKOs your ass and walks out, and that's what he does, and then you love him for it. And it was just frustrating. Then we have Stardust and Ascension, Neville and Lucha Dragons in this little thing. Stardust and the Ascension come out with their entrance as if they were about to have a match. Okay, they're in the ring. And then the Neville and Lucha Dragons would come out, and then they would, attack the Ascension and Stardust, and then it would be all this would be happening in about 40 seconds, and then that would be the end of it, and then that was the end. They didn't even have a match, obviously, and then it would be, they're going to be in the kickoff for Night of Champions, but what was the point of having them come out, doing their entrances and everything, just to have them brawl for like 10 seconds, and then that be it? I mean, it didn't really make any sense, and I'm pretty sure, especially what would happen later on in Raw, nobody remembered it, let alone cared about it. And that's another thing where you see a guy like Neville, major success and major popularity in NXT, comes to the main roster and is getting put on the kickoff show on Night of Champions. I mean, and with the Ascension and Stardust, and same thing with the Lucha Dragons, it's just frustrating. Frustration is at a whole nother point with last night's Raw. Then we would have, after that would be, Nikki Bella versus Charlotte. I've already talked about that, gave my opinion, and, like I said, if it wasn't Nikki, it would have been someone else. I'm personally not a fan of the Bellas. That's just my opinion. Some people are. That's good for you, but some people are fans of people. Some people are not. But me as a wrestling fan, being a wrestling fan for like over 12 years now, almost my entire life, you're fans of people, and you're a fan of some people's work, and sometimes you're not. And Nikki Bella and Brie Bella, I'm not a fan of the work. I'm not a fan of their ring work. Definitely not a fan of their freaking mic work. Oh my gosh. I had my mom one time. She just happened to be watching wrestling with me one night, and she was, watching wrestling, and then the Bellas had a segment where they'd come out, and I think it was around the time where Brie became Nikki Bella's like slave for 30 days, and Nikki Bella's out there, on the mic, and by the way, may I add, my mom never watches wrestling. The reason she was watching it with me was just because she happened to be, in the room, when it was on when I was watching it. So, and she just decided for whatever reason to sit down and watch it with me. And immediately she was watching Nikki Bella cut her promo, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, look what bad actors they are." And I'm like, yeah, I know. I totally agree with you, because, I mean, it's just terrible. But I do not like the Bellas. I'm not a fan of really anything they do, especially when you see girls like Sasha Banks and Bayley and, all these other girls killing it, and then you go from watching that to watching what the Bellas do. It's like, how, I'm done with the Divas. Well, not done with the Divas, like with wrestling. I'm done with reviewing it so far for this review. I've given my opinion on it. Then we would have Cesaro versus Rusev in another weird match. It just seems like they're going back to booking Cesaro in a way to try and prove that he can connect with the crowd and be entertaining rather than just a guy who's just a good wrestler. And I get that. But this match was like, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 minutes. And, Cesaro is obviously being a good wrestler, but it's still out there doing some weird stuff for what I guess they think is connecting with the crowd. But, and it doesn't, after with, the whole things with him and Kevin Owens is over, it doesn't even look like he's booked for anything. No feuds, no anything. A guy who's just one of the fan favorites and the fans really like isn't booked for anything. So, and then it would end with Dolph Ziggler coming out, he would try to give Summer Rae some piece of jewelry or some gift or something. Summer didn't take it. Dolph puts it on the announce table. Cesaro wins, and there's the distraction by Dolph. Dolph gets in the ring, super kicks Rusev, and behind Rusev's back, Summer Rae takes the gift. Whatever, and still don't know what that gift was, but honestly, like, who cares? Lana's out with the injury anyway, so whatever steam this rivalry had is gone. We've seen Rusev and Dolph Ziggler go at it so many times now. It's kind of hard to have Summer Rae and Lana feud when Lana's not there because she's out with the injury, and it's just this. I would just kill it right after Night of Champions. I don't think anybody's invested into this, and then after that would be the main event leading into Sting versus Big Show, which would lead into Seth Rollins coming in, ending that match in DQ, and leading into John Cena coming out to save him. And then it would turn into a tag match. Surprise, surprise, because it's not like almost every main event of every Monday Night Raw somehow either starts off as a tag match or gets turned into a tag match. So it's not a big surprise there. More frustration just on the fact of a tag, putting everybody together. And I don't even know where Big Show fits into this. Is he just the guy who, okay, we're going to have Sting's first match on Raw be against Big Show just because Big Show was a guy over there in WCW who had something to do with Sting and the NWO and stuff? Is that why you put it together? Because in that case, it doesn't make sense, but it's not like Big Show has played any role in any sort of main event thing ever on the last couple of months. He did the stuff with Ryback in the men's, and then that was it. But we all know how that stuff turned out. So, there's more frustration. And then the tag match was what it was, It's just, I don't think anybody's hyped up for anything at Night of Champions. And if they were, that last night's Raw killed it. I think, please leave in the comments below if you were hyped up about anything, or if you still are, then good for you. But if you were hyped up for anything and then last night's Raw killed it, let me know in the comments what you thought about last night's Raw. Please like, share, and subscribe. I do weekly reviews on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and all pay-per-views. My name is Josh Hunter here at Beast Wrestling Reviews. And like I just said before, please like, share, and subscribe. Peace out.